one of the challenges I had in my entrepreneurial journey, and probably back in corporate, if I really think about it, is the ability to hold the vision but act in the present. Because if all you do is hold the vision and all you do is compare yourself to the ideal vision, that's when you're unhappy. Because what is that? The definition of frustration is the difference between desire and reality.
Yes. Yep. I've heard that.
Right.
That's so
So
true.
if all I'm doing is looking at what I'm not yet achieved, then yes, I'm still stuck on whether or not the word's discontent or uncontent or whatever, but I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah.
But can you hold those two things at the same time? Can I have the vision and be grateful for the achievements? And I love that you have an accomplishment list as much as a goal list, because too many times very driven people focus on what they haven't yet done.
Hi, I'm Erin Marcus, former corporate executive turned entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Conquer Your Business. Welcome to the Ready Yet podcast. We're excited to bring you more than 100 episodes of interviews and insights designed to help entrepreneurs get the financial and emotional freedom they need in order to build a business and a life they're proud of.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Ready Yet podcast. I'm excited about today's guest, Ryan Cote. We had a great conversation about morning routines, because I think I was sharing with you, it took me forever to come up with a morning routine that worked. And I was so stuck on being perfect that I wasn't doing anything, which is not helpful. And I'm excited for you to share your information, your story, and also what you know about setting people up for success like that. Because and I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself more formally, but I spent most of my life being not just not a morning person, but like violently not a morning person. Like bad, not a morning person. So the idea of a morning routine that didn't include sleeping till the last possible second just was not in my frame of reference. And then became an entrepreneur and I got older. And those two things have made me a morning person. And I can honestly say that routine I don't function well without it now.
Interesting.
Right. So before we go even deeper into that, because I'm excited to share that conversation with everybody, tell everyone a little more formally who you are, what you do, all the good stuff.
Sure. I'll keep it quick so we can get to the meat of the conversation. My name is Ryan Cote. I live in New Jersey, married for soon to be 16 years. I have 3 daughters, 12, 10, and 7 as we record this. I was telling you before we started recording that they're at camp right now. They've been at camp for the last 12 days, which we've never had no kids for that long. And I feel like it's like so late, I do miss them.
This is how the other half lives.
I'm not a terrible father, but I'm like, wow, this is like, there's very little decisions to make right now, except for work and just my wife. And so that's personal note. Professionally, I work in I'm co-owner of my family's marketing agency that goes back to the mid 60s with my great uncle Tom, to give him a shout out, started it. And it's me, my 2 brothers, my uncle. We have other employees too. We have a roofing business now too that started in January, kind of like just an experiment. That's going fairly well. It's new. And then I have Morning Upgrade, which is my side passion project with morning routines, personal development. I've got a blog, a podcast, a book. I'm not really sure where that journey is going to take me. I'm having fun just meeting people like you and trying to create something that helps people. So that's kind of me in a minute.
So, okay. I have more questions than I had before, right? That's usually how that works. Let's just start with what would make sense. How did you pick the morning routine being such a pivotal focal point of how you wanted to help people?
Yeah, it's interesting because like the brand is called Morning Upgrade because that's like my pillar habit, my morning routine. But really, if you listen to the podcast and you read the blogs and all that and read the book, it's more about personal development overall. Like the morning routine is the pillar habit. I can go into why. But then we talk about mindset and meditation, masterminds, all the things that I've learned over the years that I found really helpful. So as I learn new things, as I go down this journey, I try to incorporate that into my blogs and the questions that I ask my guests and stuff like that. So, but to answer your original question, the reason that morning routine is my pillar habit is because like I've always been into personal development. And if we go back to like 2017 in the marketing agency called Ballantine, I was going through a lot of things, meaning like losing a lot of clients, a lot of big clients all at once, really, all within like I don't know, it was like 9 months, I guess. It's like boom, 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 boom. I think it was five actually, five clients, big ones. And so I'm like, this is what's going on here. You know, I felt very flustered, felt very mediocre, felt like, the sky was falling. And so, but I had enough awareness, I guess, to realize that obviously things were broken in the business that I had to fix, but things were probably broken with me too. And so I had to like work on both. And that set me down the whole journey of like, I stopped eating red meat. I watched a documentary and it messed me up. So I was like, all right, well, add that to the list. I started doing like different type of physical activity like boxing. And now I do Krav Maga, just looking for things that are uncomfortable for me.
So I used to do boxing and Krav Maga. Like we didn't even have that conversation.
Oh, really?
I love, and this is, so I'm a little older now, but I'm also, what you don't know is I'm 5 feet tall. I weighed 100 pounds most of my life. And my favorite form of, I love fighting as exercise.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But stressful.
Very right. So, but one of the things that is kind of built into what you're talking about when you mention that the morning routine becomes a pillar, that morning habit becomes a pillar habit, I think you're absolutely onto something there, because kind of like you, my own self-improvement journey really kicked in when I created the morning routine. Like I was doing the things, right? I was reading books and having conversations. And I was doing a variety of different things. But I love how you call it a pillar habit, because I do think that is setting the stage from the get-go each day.
Yeah, it influences your day. And what I found, at least in my experience, is that it has a ripple effect. So now I'm always looking for things. I started doing Krav Maga because I was looking for something to shake things up, make myself uncomfortable. And I'm always, my antenna is always up looking for tweaks to make. Like now on my phone, I pay for a brain training app because I feel like 10 minutes a day doing those games is probably good for the old brain. Different books I'm reading, obviously it influences what I do at Morning Upgrade. So what you'll find, I think, my experience is that as you get more into your personal development and you have your pillar habit, which I think is the morning routine, you'll start to look for other areas because it becomes kind of addictive, especially as you see gains and you feel different. It just becomes a snowball that just grows and grows.
Absolutely. And I think it almost becomes easier, right? In the beginning, if you're new to personal development, some of it's real hard. I always say one of the quotes, and I cannot say the guy's name, so I won't even try because I'll butcher it. He's got a very long Austrian or German name that I cannot remember. But one of my favorite quotes that I now hold on to so tightly is, success is tied to the amount of truth you can learn about yourself without running away.
I like that. I haven't heard that before.
I'll look it up and send you the guy's name, but success is tied to the amount of truth you can learn about yourself without running away. And when you first start a personal improvement journey, it's not easy to not only realize, but be okay with the fact that what do they say? The biggest problem in all of your failed relationships is you, right? The only consistent thing in all of your failed relationships, that's those demotivational posters. That's the only consistent thing in all of your failed relationships is you. But if you can get over the hurdle of feeling crappy about it, it's amazing what's possible.
Yeah, I think you just need to embrace that no one's perfect. And this personal development journey, trying to close the gap of like who you are today and who you could be in the future. like it never ends. Like we all like I still make mistakes and bad decisions, and I just try to. I'm in like I mentioned before, I'm in the mode right now of trying to just stack habits and good habits, like not huge things that are going to take. Like the brain training is 10 minutes, the Krav Maga is twice a week for an hour. Um, the books, it's maybe 5-10 pages a day. I'm reading this
Mhm.
book right now called Fans First, which is
Oh
on
no!
like customer service.
Yeah. So the Savannah Banana, right?
Yeah, I know
I'm
Jesse Cole,
actually going
who's
to
my
be with
mastermind.
him in November. I'll be with Jesse Cole.
Oh, with Jesse?
Mhm.
Oh, he was in one of my masterminds like a
Oh,
year or
nice.
two ago. So he's a very interesting guy.
He's
Very
very interesting. Yeah, he has I love his approach. It's different. It's a different level than be of service. It's like the next level of
Oh,
be of
yeah.
service,
His
right?
ideas, the way his brain operates. But, I want to get your thought on this, not to go into like a
Yeah.
podcast host mode now, but so my brother, because like, in the company in Valentine, like I send out an email every Sunday to the team, sharing like wins and company news and personal development tips, just to kind of pepper them with stuff like that. Whether they do anything with it or not, that's up to them. They're adults. They could choose their path. But like I try to like, just have a little influence. And my one brother knows I have the podcast, all that stuff, like morning upgrade. And he's like, isn't it stressful to always never be totally content with where you're at? Like, aren't you, isn't it stressful to always like want to be trying to like, and he was asking me like a serious question. I'd love to get your thoughts
Yeah,
on
that's so
that.
funny that you bring that up because it's very timely. So there's a difference between I'm not discontent, uncontent, unhappy. I don't know which word that
Oh.
is. My journalism degree just failed me right there. I don't know what word that is,
And
but
I think
I'm
he's
not
as always.
right. I'm not content. These
Yeah.
are two different things. Being grateful and content and proud of myself and happy in a moment has nothing to do with wanting more because I don't feel
Hmm.
like I'm lacking. I just feel like how much fun is it to keep going?
Right. I agree with you. That's kind of the answer I gave him. I said like, I think we're all wired to want to achieve and grow because that's to me like the point of life.
Right. Well,
And
right. More life, right? The more life directive. But what's interesting to me is there's a lot of, I mean, it's not chaos in my life. There's a lot of activity in my life right now. It's very frustrating just because of timing. And I found myself this morning in my journal writing 4 pages of things that I'm currently mad or annoyed about. And normally I wouldn't want to give those things energy, but you have to process them
Mhm.
or they crop up on you later. So it was get them all out. Okay, fine, they're done, which to me feels similar to your brother's question. Wanting more doesn't make me discontent now. Wanting to give energy to the outcomes that I desire doesn't mean I'm never not frustrated. We're
Yes.
not trying to erase the human experience.
Right.
We're not
I agree with you.
trying, right? We're not trying to act as if we're perfect to your earlier point, or that we're never upset, or that we don't make mistakes, or that any of the things.
Yeah. And I try to keep myself like present. I'm trying to really focus on, gratitude practice and keep myself present. I've got like a goal sheet here that I read every morning
Yep.
and I have a section with my goals, but I have a section with things that I've done over the last 43 years and I'm proud of. And so I'm
Yeah.
just trying to like that's been my answer to it, just trying to still achieve, but still be conscious of.
There was one of the challenges I had in my entrepreneurial journey, and probably back in corporate, if I really think about it, is the ability to hold the vision but act in the present. Because if all you do is hold the vision and all you do is compare yourself to the ideal vision, that's when you're unhappy. Because what is that? The definition of frustration is the difference between desire and reality.
Yes. Yep. I've heard that.
Right?
That's so true.
So if all I'm doing is looking at what I'm not yet achieved, then yes, I'm still stuck on whether or not the words discontent or uncontent or whatever, but I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah.
But can you hold those two things at the same time? Can I have the vision and be grateful for the achievements. And I love that you have an accomplishment list as much as a goal list, because too many times very driven people focus on what they haven't yet done.
Yeah. That's my answer to it.
Loving what you're learning here and interested in more? Check out our free Facebook group and join us at Conquer Your Business Community to find even more tips and tools designed to help you get out of reaction mode and into conquering your own business.
I'm also trying to get, there's an author I was reading. I don't know, the book's behind me, but it pieces every step, or every piece is every step. It's by this Buddhist monk. He's not alive anymore. I can't think of his name, but if you look at the book, and his thing is like mindfulness, like teaching yourself how to be mindful in everything you do, even walking, washing the dishes, like the simple things. And it's good. The book is really, it's teaching me different strategies on how to appreciate even the small things and become more present, like we've been talking about.
And I think it's important because, so you have 3 businesses and a family.
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume men have some of this. I know a lot of moms have this, so I don't know why dads wouldn't, but the whole mom guilt. And one of the things you see with entrepreneurs, or even people who go to work, they're not present when they're at work because they're worried about their kids, and they're not present with their kids because they're worried about work. And you just end up not actually getting to enjoy any of it because you're always worried about the thing you're not doing.
So my approach to that, so in one of my other masterminds, he teaches, this guy, Tommy Breedlove, he teaches, it's not really balance, it's like rebalancing. And so like, I try to be conscious of what really feels out of balance, and I'll focus my attention on that. Like if I feel like I'm really ignoring my kids a lot, I'll try to focus more on them, and just kind of always rebalancing.
It's the harmony thing, right?
The harmony, yeah. And then I also try to, like, going back to the habits, I'm trying to put things into my life that will not force me to, like, use my kids as an example, not forcing me to spend time with them because I want to spend time with them, but just to make it easier. Like we're getting into the habit now of every Saturday or Sunday, we go to this restaurant by us called Yard House, and it's in the mall. So it's like jacking up my expenses, but we'll go grab lunch and then we'll walk around the mall, not buy anything, just get exercise and just spend time together. And we'll have lunch and then go walk around the mall. And so they're starting to look forward to it. And so it's like looking for things like that to layer into my day where I have opportunities to like do stuff like that, drive them to school. And it's not perfect, but
I will. Well, and I'll tell you, so my niece just graduated 8th grade. She's going into high school. And I know my brother, we had a party for her recently. And one of the things he said at that party was his biggest favorite memory right now is that he drove her to school every day. He has driven her to school 95% of the time. And it's about, like you said, it's about making it easy to do the things you said you want to do. It's amazing to me, myself included, how much people don't do the things they say they want to do. Not the things they have to do, but we don't do the things we say we want to do more of.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I'm trying to get really intentional with what a full life looks like and take the action on it. I don't know if it's because, like, statistically my life is halfway over, but I like, what does a fun, fulfilling life look like? And obviously we need to work hard and all that, but the other side of that, like the fun side, what does that look like and what do I need to do? And I'm really trying to be intentional. And my wife is the same way. Like she loves the experiences. Like, I don't know, 18 months ago, I saw a charge on on the credit card. And I'm like, oh, what's this? And she's like, oh, we're going to Alaska. I just signed us up for an Alaskan cruise. And so like, she just does things, like a crazy person, but it's all fun. And so we're, you still have to work hard, but what does that fun equation look like? And then how do we make it happen?
And the making it happen, I think, is the key part. Humans do this really weird thing with time because we always talking about how we're so busy, but we also act as if we have forever. We act as if we have forever. We talk about, we'll do that when we retire. We'll do that when we're older. We'll do that when we're not busy. That doesn't ever happen. And why are we waiting?
Yeah.
Why are we waiting to do the things instead of building them into our life now. And it's not about money. It doesn't have to be about money. I volunteer on Fridays at a wildlife rescue.
That's cool.
So I want to be immersed in that environment. That doesn't cost me a dime. So it's not really even about the money. Will that one day lead? Yeah, one day I want to go on the big African safari. So that's, being put on the schedule. But in the interim, what could I do to feed that joy instead of waiting?
I always wonder what the lack of inaction is. Is it a lack of belief in yourself? Is it thinking things can't be better for yourself? I've always wondered that,
I think Jim Rohn has the best response to that.
What is it?
What's easy to do is just as easy not to do.
Yeah, I've heard that. Huge Jim Rohn fan. Yeah.
Right. And it's so true. It's a lack of perspective. My tagline in my business is be in charge, take action, get results. And one of the things that I've learned and where that came from is, and this has to be a learned thing, otherwise so many people wouldn't be doing it. We have the right and the authority and the ability to be in charge of our lives. And most people live in reaction mode. Most people don't make decisions because they don't want something to be their fault. Most people don't think, or at least don't behave as if they're in charge of their own lives.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like there's a book I read that talked about becoming like the CEO of your life and treating your life like you're the CEO, not blaming others, not making excuses, just take action. And then, nothing's perfect, but just keep on taking action every day and working towards your goals, working towards your personal growth. And eventually, like Darren Hardy says, the compound effect takes a hold.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wow, things are actually improving here. It's kind of exciting.
And I think people are so worried, and I get it, been there, completely been there. You're worried in the beginning because it feels icky, because you think you have to admit you did all these things wrong, when it really isn't about that. It's about letting go of anything you think you did wrong.
Right. Yeah. Forgiving yourself. Yeah. And just going for it.
Going from there.
Yeah. Because we only have there's too many, I hear too many stories. Not to be a downer, but like my one friend whose mother, lived a healthy life, retired, and then right when she retired, she got a disease where you get paralyzed and you suffocate. I can't remember what it's called, and like, man, oh man, or like people my age, 40 in their 40s, having a heart attack and dying, and like life is too short, and it's we only have a certain amount of good years. Like, I don't know what that age, it's different for everyone, but up to a certain point where you just you're not healthy enough to go for it anymore. And so that window of healthy, strong years is not that big. And so
and if you want to have a better later life, you have to start those habits when you're younger. My aunt, who ended up passing at 102, used to say it's not the golden, they're not the golden years, they're the rusty years.
Yeah, it's
So if you had to give people, if we had to leave them with one strong insight piece of advice, what would you tell people?
I mentioned this word a couple of times. I'm such a huge fan of them, and I can tell you why. I just want to bring everyone's awareness to them in case they're not familiar with it. But I mentioned a couple of times the concept of masterminds. It's been such a game changer for me, and I'll tell you why. But why should I take a step back? Masterminds are, it's different for every group, but basically you get together weekly, bi-weekly, and you all have a common goal of growing and, growing together, working on your businesses, the challenges. It's sort of like a board of directors. And so every week you show up to pour into others and they pour into you. And it really becomes like this tight group, at least in my experience, if everyone takes it seriously. And for me, I feel like every week that I meet with my group, I'm a different person, because I just everyone in the group is very inspiring. Like one of the guys has 350 homes that he's bought over the last few years. Others run these crazy businesses, and it makes me, not that I'm competing with them, but they're inspiring and they want me to
it just pulls you up. I mean, going back, you had mentioned Darren Hardy, he talks about, he's not the only one, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yes.
And it's so, so, so true. And misery loves company, but so does achievement. Right.
and they push you to do things. It pushes you out of your comfort zone because it can feel uncomfortable, like you're trying to show up and give advice, and like it just, for me at least, it was a little bit uncomfortable at first. And I don't know, I feel like I said, every week I feel like I'm a slightly different person after that meeting, and I've been doing it for 4 years, so it just keeps on stacking. So I would say
Absolutely.
my biggest piece of advice, if you haven't heard of a mastermind, there's a whole different, it's a kind of a big thing now. There's probably a group for you, and just go give it a try. And I think it'll make a big difference if you give it your best effort.
And then for people who want to continue this conversation and get your tips and insights, because I know you have all sorts of content that you share, what is the best way for them to find you?
Yeah, so for the personal development, morning routine stuff, that's Morning Upgrade. And then the marketing agency we've been talking about, Ballantine, that's ballantine.com. So it's morningupgrade.com and then ballantine.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all this, because I know we had so much in alignment with not just how to do it, but what's possible. And I love meeting people who just are all about what's possible.
Yeah, this was really fun, Erin. I
Awesome.
appreciate the time.